I walked into my house and froze. My bed gone. And there she was, my daughter-in-law, lounging in it like she owned the place. My son just smiled and said, "Dad, don't overreact. It's our room now." I didn't argue, didn't shout, just looked around slowly and realized they'd chosen the wrong man to move. Before I tell you how everything unfolded, take a second to subscribe and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Every story I share carries a bit of truth. Sometimes mine, sometimes yours. Now, let's start from the beginning, before the day they decided my bedroom was theirs. The morning I returned from my trip, the house felt off. Too quiet. That kind of silence that hums in your ears. The kind that warns you something isn't right. I've been gone for 2 weeks, visiting an old friend up north. Fishing, swapping stories, trying to clear my head. The drive back was long, but I couldn't wait to get home, to my porch swing, to the smell of my coffee brewing in the kitchen, to the rose garden my late wife planted with her own hands. This house wasn't just a structure. It was a promise I made to her. After she passed, I rebuilt it piece by piece, exactly how she wanted it. Every board, every nail, every brushstroke of paint still held her touch. My son, Ryan, had moved back in 3 years ago with his wife, Lily. Said it would be temporary. Just until we get back on our feet, Dad. And I believed them. The house was big. And honestly, it felt good not to eat dinner alone anymore. At first, it was peaceful. Lily helped in the kitchen, sometimes. Ryan and I would sit on the porch with a couple of beers, talking about the old days, his little league games, the camping trips, the time he fell in a lake and laughed until he couldn't breathe. I thought, maybe this is what getting older gracefully looks like. But then things started shifting. Slowly, subtly, first came the new furniture. Pieces I hadn't approved. Then the redecorating, updates, they called it. Rearranging rooms, moving my things around. When I'd ask, Ryan would just chuckle. "Dad, come on. You've had it like this for 20 years. It's time for a refresh." I told myself, let it go. They're young. Let them make the place feel like home. Every morning I still kept my ritual. Up before sunrise, a cup of black coffee by the window, watching daylight crawl across the backyard. Sometimes I'd hear Lily upstairs, heels tapping, blow dryer running, the soundtrack of someone who liked things her way. Ryan was softer, good-hearted, but always avoided conflict. Even as a boy, he'd rather stay silent than stand his ground. Before I left for my trip, I handed him the house keys. "Take care of this place," I said. "It's not just wooden walls. It's family." He smiled that same boyish grin from years ago and promised he would. I believed him. When I returned 15 days later, I opened the front door and immediately felt it. The wrongness. The air smelled of new paint and perfume I didn't recognize. The photos on the wall were gone. The clock that had ticked in the hallway for 30 years, gone too. Maybe they cleaned, I thought. Maybe just reorganized. But when I opened my bedroom door, my heart stopped. The mahogany bed my wife and I had shared for 25 years was gone. In its place stood a sleek white frame with glossy pillows, like something from a catalog. The peach walls she painted by hand were now a sterile gray. Our wedding photo vanished. And then Lily appeared in the doorway, wearing that polite smile that never reached her eyes. "So, what do you think?" she asked sweetly. "We redecorated. This room just fits us better." Her words hit like a slap wrapped in silk. I steadied myself on the doorframe, swallowing the anger that threatened to rise. I wanted to shout, to demand my life back. But I didn't. I just looked at her, calm, too calm, because deep down, I knew this was only the beginning. They had no idea what kind of man they were dealing with. The room didn't feel like mine anymore. Everything that carried my memories was stripped away, replaced with her scent, her taste, her control. "Where's my bed?" I asked quietly. She smiled. "Oh, we moved it to the garage. Don't worry, it's safe. You'll sleep in the guest room now. It's cozier. Better for your back at your age." "At my age," said kindly enough, but it stung. "And you didn't think to ask me first?" She waved it off with a casual shrug. Ryan said you'd understand. We wanted to surprise you. A surprise. That's what she called it. I took a slow breath, steadying the frustration that pressed behind my ribs. Where's Ryan? Upstairs, she said lightly, brushing imaginary dust from her sleeve. We've been working nonstop, getting everything ready. The house finally looks modern. Then she turned and brushed past me, her shoulder grazing mine as if I weren't even there, a ghost haunting my own home. Her perfume lingered long after she disappeared up the stairs. When Ryan finally came down, he looked half awake, hair tousled, wearing a wrinkled T-shirt and that same nervous expression he used to wear when he broke something as a kid. Hey, Dad, you're back early. Early, I repeated, staring at him. I said I'd be home today. He glanced away. Yeah, Lily thought you liked the changes. The room needed a fresh start. I looked at him, my son, the boy I raised alone after Mary passed, the boy I taught to fish, to keep his word, to never take what wasn't his. Ryan, I said slowly, each word deliberate, you let her move my things without asking? He shifted, scratching the back of his neck, the same nervous tick from childhood. Dad, it's still your house, but come on. We live here, too. Lily just wanted to make it feel more like home for both of us. Home. That word hit differently this time, like an insult wearing perfume. My home, I said quietly but firmly. He sighed. Dad, don't make this a big deal, okay? You've had the master bedroom forever. We're starting a family soon, and I cut him off. Then get your own house, Ryan. He froze, blinking. What? You heard me. I said, stepping closer, calm, steady. If you need more space, find your own place. This house was built by my hands, paid for with my years, not yours. Lily reappeared, a glass of wine in hand, wearing that same brittle smile. Walter, let's not overreact. We just want to make the place feel lighter. It's not like we threw your stuff away. She turned to Ryan, then back to me. We even kept your old dresser. It's in the garage. The garage. I could already picture it. The cold air, the smell of oil and dust, my life reduced to clutter. Without another word, I walked downstairs. They followed. When I opened the garage door, it felt like stepping into a grave. There was my old dresser leaning against the wall. The photo of Mary and me cracked right across her smile. The bed frame disassembled and shoved beside boxes labeled dad stuff. I ran my hand along the wood, cold, rough, like touching the scar of a wound that never healed. See, Lily said, sipping her wine. We kept everything. I turned to her. You kept the furniture, I said softly, but you threw away respect. The air froze. Neither of them spoke. I picked up the cracked photo, held it close, didn't yell, didn't cry, just felt something inside me settle, quiet, heavy, final. Dad, come on, Ryan began. We didn't mean. Stop, I said. My voice was low, even. Just stop. The only sounds left were the hum of the freezer and the slow drip of a pipe. You both want space. I said finally. Fine, you'll have it, but not here. Lily's voice broke its practice calm. You can't be serious. This is our home, too. I raised my hand slightly. No, it's not. Your name isn't on the deed. This has always been my house. Ryan's voice cracked. Dad, please don't do this. I looked at him, really looked. The boy I'd once carried on my shoulders, now standing beside a woman who treated me like I was in the way. I'm not doing anything, I said quietly. You did. I turned toward the stairs, each step heavier than the last. And just as I reached the top, I heard Lily whisper sharply behind me. He's bluffing. But I wasn't. Not this time. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat at the kitchen table under the old yellow lamp, its light spilling across half-empty coffee cups and scattered receipts. The house felt different now. Colder, smaller, like even the walls were holding their breath. Every sound echoed with something missing. Upstairs, Ryan and Lily slept in my room. Their laughter from earlier had long since faded into silence. I stayed downstairs, staring at the cracked photo of Mary I'd pulled from the garage. Her smile, soft patient, seemed almost alive under the lamp, as if she were reminding me, protect what we built. I remembered when Ryan was little, tracking Mud to the hallway after baseball practice. I'd scold him, but never stayed mad long. He'd grin and say, "Sorry, Dad. I'll clean it up." And I always forgave him, because that's what fathers do. But this wasn't a mess. This was betrayal. The next morning, I stepped outside. The air was crisp, the kind that bites at your lungs. I sat on the porch swing, our swing, and watched the sun crawl slowly across the yard. And right then I knew things in that house would never be the same again. For a heartbeat, I let myself breathe, almost a small, foolish peace. But that peace didn't last. Something had changed inside the house, and something had changed inside me. I needed to know why my own son had stood by while a stranger claimed what was mine. That afternoon gave me the answer. Brianna was in the backyard, pacing with her phone to her ear, the sun catching at the gold in her hair. I didn't mean to eavesdrop. At first, I only wanted to see what she was doing, but then I heard her laugh, low and sure, and the words that froze me in place. Once we finish the renovations, it'll be legally ours. Legally ours. She spoke softer than conspiratorial. He's old, Nancy. He won't fight it. Once we make enough improvements, we have a case for possession. I already talked to someone. My hand went straight to my pocket. I hit record on my phone and captured every word. Her confidence sounded rehearsed, arrogant. Not disrespect, but plan. The kind that chews a life into pieces. That night, when they were out, I went into Caleb's study. Bills were scattered across the desk. Credit card notices, overdue auto payments, ordinary chaos. And then a paper that made my knees go weak. A loan for $27,500, secured against my house. The signature looked like mine, but the middle initial was wrong. A forgery. I sat there a long time holding that paper. There was no shout, no angry speech. Just a heavy ache, a slow, sinking understanding that my son had done this. The boy who used to fall asleep on my shoulder after long drives had put my home at risk. I didn't break down. I breathed until the shaking in my hands stopped. Eleanor's voice, the echo of her steady, gentle wisdom, came back to me. Patience, Walt. Even storms pass if you wait them out. So I waited, but I prepared. The next morning I called my daughter, Maya. She lived 3 states away, but when she heard the tremor in my voice, she didn't hesitate. "Dad," she said quietly, "tell me everything." So I told her every insult, every moved picture, every receipt, the recording, the forged loan. When I finished, she was quiet, then steadier than I'd heard in years. "Don't do anything yet," she said. "I'll handle it. Promise me you won't confront them until I get there." I promised. For 2 days I played the quiet old man. I fixed a cabinet hinge, mowed the front walk, smiled when Brianna rattled off paint swatches. Caleb barely spoke. Maybe guilt was finally finding him. Behind the stillness, I worked differently. I took notes each night, cataloging dates, conversations, screenshots, receipts. The recording, building a file, not a wall. I wasn't preparing revenge. I was preparing a case. By the time Maya's car rolled into the drive 3 days later, the fog in my chest had lifted. I met her with a small folder, loan documents, photos, the recorded call. She flipped through every page, her jaw tightening with each turn. "You've got them," she said simply. Certainty in her voice that I hadn't heard since Eleanor was alive. That night, after she'd settled in, I slept straight through for the first time in weeks. The tide had turned. Maya stayed 3 days. In those hours, she became the calm center of the storm. Every morning, she was at the dining table with a laptop and a stack of papers, coffee cooling as she worked. She moved with quiet purpose, making lists, lining things up. "We won't do this with anger," she told me once, looking up. "We'll do it clean, quiet, and legal." That was exactly what I wanted. Not shouting, not spectacle, just truth, plain and simple. She examined the loan documents with a careful eye. They didn't even try to match your handwriting, she said, tracing the form. You're missing a middle initial, a rookie forgery. This is criminal. The bank will fold when they see it. Hearing that, I felt something like relief and danger at once. The truth was a blade, but it cut the right thing. The next layer came quietly. Not rage, not confrontation, just discovery. Maya laid the renovation receipts across the table one by one. Thousands spent on things that didn't belong here. Designer light fixtures, overpriced fake plants, a freestanding tub Brianna had ordered online, all charged to Ryan's credit cards. They're trying to claim ownership through improvements, Maya said, tapping one of the pages. It's a sneaky tactic, but they left a trail a mile wide. I stared out the window while she spoke. Outside, the maples were turning, red and gold spilling across the yard, covering the old swing Eleanor loved. In its place sat a polished metal bench Brianna had installed, cold and gleaming under pale sunlight, soulless, just like her taste in everything. What happens now? I asked quietly. Maya gave a small, certain smile. Now we build the truth, piece by piece. The next morning, I followed my routine as if nothing had changed. Made my coffee, fed the birds, kept my silence. When Brianna drifted down the stairs in her silk robe, she smiled sweetly, as if yesterday had never happened. Morning, Walter. Sleep well in the guest room? I smiled back, still unreadable. She didn't notice the small black folder on the counter, or Maya's car parked just down the block. For the next 2 days, Maya gathered every thread we needed. The original deed with my notarized signature, the voice recording of Brianna's phone call, and the forged loan documents with Ryan's signature pretending to be mine. She even called the bank herself. Mr. Hayes' signature was forged, she told the manager, her voice calm and exact. You'll receive formal notice by morning. When she hung up, she turned to me. Dad, don't confront them yet, she said. Give them a chance to tell the truth. If they don't, we'll make sure they're held accountable. That evening, Ryan stepped into the kitchen. His shoulders sagged. His eyes had that dull, sleepless look, the kind guilt carves into a man's face. Dad, can we talk? He asked quietly. I set my cup down. Of course. He hesitated, glancing toward the stairs, checking for her shadow. She said you were being difficult, he started, voice soft. But I didn't realize she'd actually move your stuff. I should have stopped it. For a moment, I saw the boy he used to be, the one who used to apologize for breaking a window with a baseball, the one I always forgave. Ryan, I said slowly, you forged my name on a loan. His face went white. Dad, I didn't mean... You didn't mean to get caught, I said, calm but sharp. But you still did it. He ran a hand through his hair, his voice breaking. I just wanted to make her happy. She said it was temporary. We'd pay it off before you even noticed. Temporary theft, I murmured, is still theft. He flinched, eyes glistening. Before he could speak again, Maya entered the kitchen. Calm, composed, every step measured. She placed a neat stack of papers on the table. Ryan, she said evenly, we know everything. He froze. This, she pointed to the forged loan form, is elder financial fraud. And this, she lifted another sheet, is a recording of Brianna planning to take this house. We have enough to press charges, but we're giving you a chance to fix it. Just then, Brianna's voice cut through the air, sharp and brittle. What's going on here? Maya didn't even blink. You have 48 hours to vacate the property. All your claims are void. Here's the agreement. Sign it, and you walk away clean. Refuse, and we go to court. Brianna's face drained of color. You can't throw us out. I spoke quietly, but there was steel behind the words. I can, and I will. This is my house. Always has been. She looked at Ryan, searching for support, but he couldn't meet her eyes. That silence said more than anything ever could. Maya slid the pen across the table. Your choice, she said simply. Brianna's fingers trembled as she reached for it, her defiance collapsing into fear. She hesitated for a long moment before finally picking up the pen. Her hand shook as she signed. Ryan followed, His signature small, uncertain, a mark of shame pressed into paper. When it was done, Maya gathered the documents, slipped them neatly into the black folder, and spoke with calm finality. "We're done here." They went upstairs to pack. I stayed seated at the kitchen table, listening to the creak of the floorboards and the distant thud of drawers closing. The house felt different, not lighter yet, but ready. The storm had passed. The air had gone still. All that was left now was waiting. The next 48 hours moved slow, thick with quiet. Not the kind of silence that hurts, but the kind that follows thunder. The air rinsed clean, every sound sharper. Brianna packed with angry hands, drawers slammed, boxes dragged, muttering under her breath. Ryan helped her in silence, shoulders slumped, eyes cast down. That's how guilt looks when it finally settles. Heavy and visible in every movement. I didn't speak. I didn't need to. I made my coffee, fed the birds, sat by the kitchen window just as the morning light spilled across the counter. There's power in calm, in staying steady when others unravel. Maya handled the rest. She filed the agreement that afternoon, notarized and sealed. It read, in perfect legal language, Ryan and Brianna Hayes relinquish all claims to the property at 214 Brookhaven Road. Below that, Ryan's repayment acknowledgement, $27,500 to be withdrawn monthly from his wages until forged loan was cleared. Clean, legal, irreversible. That evening, the moving truck arrived. I stood on the porch, hands in my pockets, watching the last act unfold. Brianna carried her suitcases without a word, her face pale, her lips drawn tight. Ryan followed, slower, his hands trembling as he lifted the final box. When he turned, our eyes met, and for the first time in months, he looked small, not in size, but in spirit. "Dad," he said quietly, voice cracking. I'm sorry." I nodded once. "I know." He swallowed hard. "I didn't mean for it to go this far. I just wanted her to be happy." I took a slow breath. "And you thought risking your father's home would make that happen?" His shoulders slumped. He looked down, shame etched into every line of his face. "Son," I said gently, "you can rebuild your life, but start with truth this time. It's lighter to carry." His chin trembled. He nodded, then turned and walked toward the truck. Brianna was already inside, staring at her phone. She didn't look back. Not once. I didn't stop them. Didn't gloat. Didn't curse. I just stood there, watching the truck's red tail lights fade into the dusk. And when the sound was gone, the silence that followed felt peaceful. That night, I walked through the house slowly, one room at a time. The air felt new, clean, alive again. In my bedroom, the old mahogany bed leaned against the wall, waiting to be rebuilt. Boxes marked Dad's stuff sat quietly in the corner. I lifted Eleanor's cracked photo from one of them, replaced the glass, and hung it back where it belonged, just above the bed. "Welcome home," I whispered. The next morning, I made pancakes for Maya. She smiled over her coffee. "It feels different in here, Dad," she said, "like the house is breathing again." I smiled back. "It is." Weeks passed. Word spread quickly. Ryan's company uncovered the forgery. When the loan defaulted, he was demoted. Part of his paycheck garnished to repay the debt. Brianna took a job at a small real estate office 2 towns over. By winter, they'd separated. I didn't celebrate, but I did feel settled. Months later, on a quiet Sunday evening, there was a knock at the door. When I opened it, Ryan stood there, thinner, older, humility carved into his face. He held out an envelope. "I wanted you to have this," he said softly. Inside was a check, his first full repayment installment. "I'm trying, Dad," he said. I nodded. "Good. Keep trying." He lingered a moment, eyes tracing the hall, the photos, the quiet warmth of the place he once called home. "You fixed the room," he said. "I did," I answered. "And this time it stays mine." He gave a small, tired smile, then turned and walked down the driveway, his silhouette fading into the calm evening light. When I closed the door behind him, the peace that filled the room wasn't empty. It was whole, not the silence of loss, but the stillness that comes when balance finally returns. And in that quiet, I realized I was free. It's strange how peace arrives. Not with noise, not with applause, but with quiet. For months, this house had carried tension like humidity. Thick, invisible, heavy. Every room had felt smaller, every corner colder. But the day that last box left, the walls seemed to exhale. I walked through each room, running my hand along the railings I built, the photographs Eleanor hung, the walls she painted herself. It wasn't about winning. It never was. It was about reclaiming dignity, one quiet truth at a time. People talk about revenge like it's fire, but the truth is real revenge is calm. It's patience. It's setting things right without letting bitterness take root inside you. I still think about Ryan sometimes. He comes by on Sundays now. We talk about small things, the weather, his job, how he's saving again. He's rebuilding in his own way. And that's enough for me. Brianna's name rarely comes up. And that's fine, too. Some lessons come too late to share. The night I finally slept in my room again, I left the window open. The air was cool. The curtains swayed softly. And for the first time in a long while, I felt like the house recognized me again. I looked at Eleanor's photo above the bed and whispered, "You were right, love. Patience wins." Because that's what this was. Not anger, not vengeance, just a quiet reclaiming of what was already mine. They took my bedroom, so I took back my home. And I did it not with fury, but with peace. Would you have done the same if it were you? Tell me in the comments below. And if stories like this speak to you, don't forget to subscribe for more.